All right, it's me, the Relentless Rebel. This is the NFL Week 2 wrap-up show here on what I'm now calling this show. I'm now calling it the Xtra Point. So welcome to the Xtra Point. I'm the Relentless Rebel, and here we go. NFL Week 2 just wrapped up moments ago, and that's where we'll start. We'll start in San Francisco, where the New Orleans Saints have just eked out a win over the 49ers, 25-22. It wasn't the prettiest offensive performance for the New Orleans Saints, but they got it done, led by Drew Brees, who went 28 for 38, 254 yards and 2 touchdowns. Saints need to try to find a way to get the running game going here later on in the season. It's going to be pretty tough as Reggie Bush went down with an injury. But Drew Brees was outdone tonight by Alex Smith, 23 for 32, 275 yards and a touchdown, but he also threw an interception. So really Alex Smith outdid Drew Brees in the yardage department, but as far as hanging onto the football and ball security, the San Francisco offense couldn't do that. They turned the ball over 4 times. Saints will play again on Sunday afternoon against the Atlanta Falcons. That game back in the Superdome next week. All right, now scores from yesterday. We start with the Atlanta Falcons defeating the Arizona Cardinals 41-7. Matt Ryan went 21 of 32 for 225 yards, 3 scores, and Jason Snelling, the running back for the Falcons, 129 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Atlanta all over the Cardinals. Cincinnati got 5 field goals from Mike Nugent, and they defeated the Baltimore Ravens 15-10. Carson Palmer, 16 for 35, 167 yards. Joe Flacco went 17 for 39, 154 yards and a score for the Ravens. The Kansas City Chiefs improved their record to 2-0. They defeat the Oakland Raiders 16-14. Matt Castle, 16 for 28, 176 yards, 2 interceptions. But Kansas City was aided by a Brandon Flowers interception return for a touchdown, and that helped the Chiefs defeat the Browns. The Chicago Bears go to 2-0 as they defeat the Dallas Cowboys 27-20. Jay Cutler was a fantasy point scorer this weekend. He went 21 for 29, 277 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Dallas Cowboys are in all sorts of disarray. But the only bright spot for the Cowboys yesterday was the fact that Tony Romo threw for 374 yards and a touchdown. The Philadelphia Eagles took on a resurgent Detroit Lions football team after what happened last week in Chicago, but the Lions came up just short. They lose to the Eagles 35-32. Michael Vick, another outstanding performance in relief of Kevin Cobb, 21 for 34, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. And let's talk about LaShawn McCoy. He had 16 carries, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Eagles are flying high on offense, but they should be getting Kevin Cobb back next week. He was just cleared to practice for the upcoming week. Aaron Rodgers for the Green Bay Packers, 19 for 29, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Packers defeat the Buffalo Bills 34-7. The Pittsburgh Steelers started off fast against the Tennessee Titans with a 89-yard kickoff return for a touchdown from Antonio Bryant, but that's where the fireworks stopped in that one. What helped the Pittsburgh Steelers was the fact that that defense forced 7 turnovers by the Tennessee Titans. The Steelers beat the Titans 19-11. Kerry Collins came in relief of Vince Young, and Kerry Collins didn't have any more success than Vince Young did against that vaunted Pittsburgh Steelers defense. The Miami Dolphins forced 4 Minnesota Viking turnovers and had a goal line stand against Adrian Peterson late in the 4th quarter as they hang on to beat the Minnesota Vikings 14-10. The Vikings fall to 0-2. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers improved their record to 2-0 as they defeated the Carolina Panthers 20-7. Josh Freeman went 12 for 24, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns. Carolina turned the ball over 3 times. The word came out of Carolina today that rookie quarterback from Notre Dame, Jimmy Clausen, will get the start next week for the Panthers. After Seattle had an incredible victory over the San Francisco 49ers last week, they just died against the Denver Broncos. The Broncos defeated Seattle 31-14. Kyle Orton, 25 for 35, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he also got some help from Noshawn Marino, 51 yards rushing and a touchdown. The St. Louis Rams went into the black hole in Oakland and couldn't come out with a win. Sam Bradford went 14 for 25, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns, but it wasn't enough. The Oakland Raiders, behind 3 Sebastian Janikowski field goals and a Bruce Gradkowski touchdown pass, defeated the St. Louis Rams 16-14. The New York Jets, after laying a dud against the Baltimore Ravens last Monday night, came out on all cylinders, and Mark Sanchez was on fire. 21 for 30, 220 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Jets defeat the New England Patriots 28-14. The San Diego Chargers, after being shell-shocked by the Kansas City Chiefs last week, came out firing as well. They defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 38-13. Phillip Rivers, 22 for 29, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they got also a great game from their running back Mike Tolbert, 16 carries, 82 yards, 2 scores. Matt Schaub went 38 for 52, 497 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Houston Texans defeated the Washington Redskins in overtime, 30-27. Donovan McNabb didn't have a bad game either, 28 for 38, 426 and a score. And it was Manning Bowl 2 in Indianapolis, but it wasn't much of a football game. The Indianapolis Colts defeated the New York Giants 38-14. Peyton Manning 20 out of 26, 255 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the Colts defense forced 3 New York Giant turnovers. And that's a look at what happened in week number 2. Before we go, we want to this one-man production here wants to send his condolences to the family of Denver Broncos wide receiver Kenny McKinley. McKinley was found dead in his home in Denver of what police officials over there are calling an apparent suicide. He's a second-year wide receiver out of South Carolina, played 8 games last year as a rookie, but hasn't played a game yet this season because he was currently on the injured reserve list because of a knee injury. So again, my condolences go out to the family of Kenny McKinley, his family, and the Denver Broncos for their surprisingly tragic loss. You just never know when it's your time, and you just never know what's going on in the minds of some people, but that's the way it is. And so my advice to everybody out there is just to live your life to the fullest, and you know, if you need to talk to somebody, go ahead and talk to somebody. That's it. This has been the Extra Point. I'm the Relentless Rebel. Join me later on in the week. I'll have more sports opinions, more sports thoughts, and more sports rants. Again, renaming the show, this is the Extra Point. I'm the Relentless Rebel, and for now, I'll be seeing you guys down the road.